Do you believe that a woman mocked for her gender could become a hero, saving SEAL teammates, defying doubts to rewrite history? In the charge briefing room at Naval Air Station, evergreen urgency crackled like static as Captain Marcus Hale roared, "Is there a combat pilot here?" Silence gripped the space eyes darting among hardened male aviators. Then quietly, Lieutenant Emily Carter stood, her athletic frame, steady blonde hair, neatly tied blue eyes unflinching amid the storm. Whispers exploded. "Her a woman? She'll crumble under fire." Laughter from male colleagues stung like old wounds, echoing the sexism that plagued pioneers like the waves of Tammie. Those brave women confined to clerical roles facing harassment while proving their worth in silence. But beneath Emily's uniform hid an eagle tattoo, a mysterious emblem hinting at a father's lost legacy of wartime resilience, much like the trailblazers who shattered barriers from clerical desks to combat skies. This raw injustice tugs at the heart, stirring outrage at enduring biases and curiosity about her hidden strength. What secret fuels her daring step into peril? Stay with us, her journey unfolds, twists of betrayal, triumph, and inspiration that will leave you breathless, revealing a sweet, satisfying end, where quiet courage soars victorious. In the rolling hills of rural Virginia, where echoes of World War II heroism lingered in family lore and yellowed letters, Emily Carter's childhood unfolded amid hardship and quiet resolve. Her father, a WWII veteran who had repaired fighters under relentless Pacific skies, shared his passion for flight during stolen moments in their modest backyard. "Adversity is just the wind beneath your wings," he'd say, his voice steady as he taught her to assemble model planes, their tiny engines humming like promises. One evening, with a steady hand, he inked an eagle tattoo on her back, a symbol of soaring freedom, a vow to overcome whatever storms life hurled. But fate struck cruelly. A routine Navy training accident claimed him, leaving young Emily and her mother to piece together a life from scraps. Her mother, a tireless Navy nurse, scraping by on single-parent wages, embodied humility and discipline, rising before dawn to care for wounded sailors, while teaching Emily that true strength bloomed in silence, much like the yeomanettes of the 1940s, those pioneering women in the Navy confined to clerical duties amid bias and harassment, yet laying the groundwork for future generations. Years later, at Naval Air Station Evergreen, Emily embodied that legacy, her path a testament to resilience forged in loss. While her male colleagues swapped boastful stories over drinks at the officers' club, she retreated to her quarters, immersing herself in flight manuals and simulator sessions. Her understanding of reconnaissance systems was profound. She could diagnose engine quirks with a mechanic's precision, optimizing fuel lines and sensor arrays, not just for efficiency, but as a silent tribute to her father, proving to his memory that she could master the machines that had taken him. This dedication wasn't ambition alone. It was an emotional anchor, a way to heal the void, drawing from the humility her mother instilled, reminiscent of WWII echoes, where women like the yeomanettes persevered through exclusion, educating themselves in shadows to claim their place. Yet the base was a battlefield of subtle prejudices, mirroring the ongoing struggles since the 1993 combat integration that opened doors but left cracks for doubt. Emily was relegated to support missions, her request for frontline roles dismissed in favor of male pilots with fewer hours but more bravado. "Women are aces at logistics," a squadron leader once quipped during a debrief, his tone casual but cutting, "but leave the real flying to us." These words ignited her inner turmoil, a storm of self-doubt that clashed with her decisive blue eyes and athletic build honed from pre-dawn runs that cleared her mind. She wrestled silently. Was she truly ready, or would bias forever ground her? Inspired by figures like Captain Kim Campbell, who rose from humble roots to heroic feats. Despite skepticism, Emily pushed on her quiet excellence, a shield. In her off-base apartment, surrounded by aviation relics and her mother's encouraging notes, she found solace, but the question lingered in her heart. But an emergency alert would soon change. Everything, is she ready? The piercing wail of the base alarm shattered the ordinary rhythm of Naval Air Station Evergreen, yanking Emily from her introspective world into a vortex of urgency. Satellite images flickered on the briefing screen, revealing a crumpled helicopter in a remote mountainous valley, 60 miles behind enemy lines, dense forests, and jagged ridges, hiding 4 surviving engineers from insurgent patrols. Time was their enemy. Capture or injury loomed without swift extraction. Captain Hale, his face etched with the gravity of command, outlined the impossible. Conventional choppers are sitting ducks to anti-aircraft fire. We need a pilot for a stripped-down reconnaissance plane, low-altitude flight to evade radar, hugging terrain like a shadow. Drawing from real rescue legacies like Valerie Andre's daring 129 helicopter missions in Indochina, where she braved jungle perils to save 165 soldiers as a pioneering female pilot, and Dr. Hale emphasized the tactics visual flight rules at under 10,000 feet speeds, exceeding 250 knots using natural contours for shielding and evasion through map interpretation and terrain analysis. This wasn't just flying, it was a high-stakes dance with death-demanding split-second decisions amid gusts and ground threats. Emily's heart raced as Hale's words ignited a fire within her. This mission mirrored the challenges her father had faced in WWII, repairing planes under fire to enable rescues that saved countless lives. She saw it as her opportunity to step beyond support roles to prove that women like her could claim the skies, echoing the USO's enduring support for service members since 1941, including the trailblazing women who transitioned from clerical duties to combat amid bias and sacrifice. But the call touched deeper, stirring family emotions that tugged at her core. In her pocket, her mother's latest letter crinkled a simple note of pride mixed with worry. "You're flying his dreams now, Emily. Just remember, heroes come home." Those words evoked her father's legacy, the eagle tattoo, a silent reminder of his resilience and the compassion of generations of military women, backed by organizations like the USO, providing solace and strength to families enduring separation and risk. As Hale's eyes swept the room seeking a volunteer, Emily felt the pull, a desire to honor her roots, to transform doubt into triumph. The risk was immense, but so was the reward, saving lives, breaking chains. She would volunteer, but would biases hinder? As Captain Hale's call hung in the air, the room's tension wrapped around Emily. Like a vice, the mission's peril, a daring, low-flying rescue through enemy mountains, stirring a whirlwind within her. This was her chance to claim the skies, to honor the legacy of women who had fought for integration in the 1990s, only to face harassment and exclusion that often shielded male careers from competition. Reports from that era echoed in her mind, scandals like Tailhook in 1991, where unchecked bias led to widespread mistreatment, reminding her that progress came at a cost. Yet hesitation gripped her heart. What if failure shattered her mother, the steadfast nurse, who had already lost a husband to the Navy's unforgiving demands? A flashback surged. Years earlier, Emily had been yanked from a combat training slot, an instructor dismissing her with a cold stare. "We can't risk it, not with a woman at the controls." That rejection burned, fueling self-doubt that clashed with her inner fire, much like the barriers Tammie Jo Shults overcame in the Navy, facing stereotypes to become one of the first female FA-18 pilots and later a national hero for her calm under crisis. The doubt deepened as Major Thompson leaped up, his voice booming with false chivalry. "I'll handle it, Captain. No need to put her in harm's way." His eyes flicked to Emily with a smirk, igniting outrage. "You think you can fly through enemy fire, Carter? This is no place for playing hero. Stick to the safe routes." Laughter rippled from male colleagues, their words a barrage of condescension that stripped away her hard-earned hours in reconnaissance craft. It was the same old script women sidelined to protect male egos, as highlighted in Navy studies from the 1990s, where integration brought harassment but little true equity. Emily's chest tightened with fury at this injustice, a raw wound touching the compassion of anyone who had witnessed similar struggles. Generations of service members fighting not just enemies abroad, but prejudice at home. She wavered, sinking back into her seat, the eagle tattoo on her back, a phantom itch. But then a light twist emerged from memory. Her father, too, had faced Tuni, Tone biases as a mechanic, overlooked for his humble roots, rising through sheer determination. "Doubts are fuel," he'd whispered. Outrage shifted to resolve. She couldn't let history repeat. Slowly she stood again, her voice steady. Who would trust her now? As Emily stood once more, her challenge met with skeptical murmurs, A gravelly voice pierced the tension like a lifeline from the past. "Hold on there!" Chief Petty Officer Olson boomed, rising from the back row with the deliberate gait of a man who had weathered WWI's Pacific storms. In his 70s, with a face mapped by years of service, Olson evoked the steadfast spirit of those elderly veterans who, post-combat integration in the 1990s, mentored women breaking into roles long denied them, guiding them through bias with hard-earned wisdom, much like the waves who paved the way amid exclusion. As her father's old comrade, Olson had watched Emily grow, recognizing the fire in her eyes. "This lass knows her stuff," he declared, his tone commanding respect. "Her pa and I fixed birds under fire. She inherited that grit. Let's hear her out." His trust wasn't blind. It stemmed from her technical prowess. Pulling her to the maps, he delved into education. Fuel checks are critical, optimized for endurance with terrain masking, hugging ridges to block radar lines of sight, just like we did evading enemy spots in the old days. These techniques, honed in low-flying ops, turned peril into strategy, his compassion shining through as he acknowledged the extra hurdles women faced, echoing USO stories of family letters that sustained troops through separation and doubt. Captain Hale, observing the exchange, leaned in, impressed by Emily's tactical outline, leveraging terrain winds to slip past anti-aircraft nests, minimizing exposure while maximizing agility. "That's innovative, Lieutenant," he said, his voice building hope. "You've got the edge we need." His alliance felt like a turning point, validating her in a room thick with prejudice. In that moment, a flashback warmed her. Her mother by the fireside, sharing tales of her father's own battles against biases, overlooked as a mechanic due to his roots, yet rising through resilience. He wrote letters home through the USO, drawing strength from our words. Her mother had said, tears glistening. Those stories, like countless USO-supported missives sustaining military families for over 80 years, transmitted unbreakable spirit. With this mentorship and alliance, Emily felt fortified, her doubts yielding to quiet determination. With support, she steps into the challenge, but danger awaits. With Chief Olson's final nod and Captain Hale's authorizing command, Emily moved toward the flight line, the weight of the mission settling like a familiar harness. The modified reconnaissance aircraft gleamed under the hangar lights, stripped for agility, non-essential gear, removed to boost fuel efficiency and maneuverability. She conducted her pre-flight checks with methodical calm, a life skill honed through years of pressure, verifying survival kit essentials, like emergency rations flares, and a compact radio for coded communications, her hands steady despite the adrenaline surging within. Olson hovered nearby, double-checking fuel lines and sensor calibrations, his veteran eyes approving. "Remember, stay composed, panic burns. Fuel faster than engines," he advised, echoing the discipline that had saved lives in WWII dogfights. This poise under duress, a cornerstone of aviation training, transformed fear into focus, much like Kimberly Dyson's groundbreaking 1993 combat flight, where she crossed into hostile skies amid bias-proving women's medal in real-time evasion. Climbing into the cockpit, Emily strapped in the eagle tattoo on her back, a hidden talisman of strength. Engines roared to life, responding flawlessly to her inputs. Ground control cleared her for takeoff, and as the plane accelerated down the runway, she felt the threshold cross, not just physical, but profound. Lifting into the uncertain sky, she descended almost immediately into nap of the earth, flying a evasive tactic, skimming treetops at mere dozens of feet to mask from radar, using natural contours like valleys and ridges for concealment. Fog enveloped her visibility, dropping to heart-pounding lows, the tense hum of instruments, her only guide. Every gust tested her resolve, the aircraft bucking like a wild steed, demanding split-second adjustments to avoid obstacles. This crossover mirrored Dyson's historic plunge into danger, where calm precision turned peril into possibility. The border loomed, hostile territory unfolding below rocky peaks, shrouded in mist, enemy patrols, invisible but ever present. Emily's mind raced with contingencies, her breathing even drawing on that inner calm to navigate the fog's embrace. But what will the first challenge be? The fog's grip loosened as Emily crossed into hostile airspace, but the first challenge struck not from below, but over the radio, a crackle of doubt from her own side. "Carter, you sure about this route? Don't get us killed playing hero." Major Thompson's voice sneered through the static, his words laced with the same condescension that had mocked her in the briefing room. Other male teammates chimed in. Support pilots should stay on the ground. This is real combat. The internal conflict boiled a multi-layered storm of outrage at the persistent bias that echoed through Navy history, women like those in the 1990s integration era, facing harassment to protect male domains. Emily's fists clenched on the controls, her heart pounding with fury. This wasn't just skepticism. It was a betrayal of teamwork stirring the same compassion for overlooked trailblazers who had endured exclusion. She bit back a retort, focusing on her instruments, but the words fueled her resolve, transforming outrage into a quiet rise of determination. As she pressed on, guiding the SEAL team below with precise updates, approaching ridgeline, use the valley for cover, allies began to emerge. Captain Hale's ground unit, initially wary, responded with growing respect. Copy that, Eagle Eye. Your intel's spot on Shiwu. A SEAL operator radioed, his tone shifting from doubt to cooperation. Dialogue evolved over the comms. What started as clipped acknowledgments turned to collaborative queries. Advise on wind shifts as Emily's terrain masking tactics, hugging natural features to evade detection, proved invaluable. Sweat beaded on her forehead, her pulse racing, but she drew strength from the emerging bond, a testament to how guidance could bridge divides, much like WWII veterans mentoring post-integration women in the Navy. Then came the enemy's sudden bursts of tracer fire erupting from concealed positions, streaks of light slashing the sky like deadly fireworks. Incoming! Emily's instincts kicked in. She executed a barrel roll maneuver, banking sharply to evade the aircraft, groaning under the G-forces. This roll technique, a staple of aerial evasion, involved rotating the plane 360 degrees while maintaining forward momentum, disrupting enemy aim linked to WWII dogfights where pilots like those in the 8th Air Force dodged flak with similar precision-saving crews in daring rescues. Education flowed through her mind. Proper execution required throttle control and horizon awareness, a skill she had mastered in simulators. The near miss left her breathless, heart thumping against her ribs, but she stabilized, radioing Hale. Hostiles at Grid Echo 4. Reroute east. The mini-climax hit like a thunderbolt, a weak signal from the survivors crackled through. This is Engineer Ross. Hold position. The name froze. Ross, her father's WWII comrade, rescued in a historic air-sea operation off the Pacific, where Navy float planes braved enemy waters to pluck downed airmen, tying into modern missions like Operation Halyard, where over 500 Allied personnel were saved from behind lines in 1944. The twist shocked her historical threads, weaving personal compassion. Ross had been like an uncle, sharing stories of her father's bravery. Tears pricked her eyes, touching a deep well of family legacy, the outrage at potential loss fueling her rise to protect him. Test 2, intensified. Bad weather rolled in, low clouds and gusty winds battering the plane, fuel gauges dipping alarmingly low. Inner struggle clawed at her doubt, whispering failure, visions of her mother's worried face flashing like lightning. A flashback gripped her mother reading wartime letters from her father teaching fuel-saving wisdom. In the war, we rationed every drop like managing engines in a storm, throttle back, use updrafts. Emily applied it now, easing power to conserve, comparing to wartime saving techniques where pilots glided on thermals to extend range, as in RAND studies on Air Force efficiency. Sweat slicked her palms, her breath shallow, but outrage at the elements morphed into resilient rise. She adjusted altitude, nursing the craft through the turmoil. But the deadly cave awaits. The deadly cave, the narrow valley cradling the crash site, loomed ahead, its rocky jaws framed by towering peaks that clawed at the sky. Emily throttled forward, her aircraft threading through the mountainous maze, narrow gorges, squeezing like a vice as strong winds howled in defiance, buffeting the wings with turbulent fury. These barriers mirrored the perils of low-altitude flying. In military aviation, increased vulnerability to mechanical turbulence and sudden downdrafts that could slam a plane into unforgiving terrain, as highlighted in aviation analyses. Enemy helicopters materialized on her radar, their rotors chopping the air like predatory blades closing in with anti-aircraft threats that turned the sky into a lethal gauntlet. She dove lower, employing nap-of-the-earth tactics, skimming just above the treetops to mask her signature from ground radar, a technique paralleling WWII aerial evasion, where pilots hug contours to dodge flak during daring reconnaissance runs, often at altitudes risking collision with wires or hills. The wind's roar drowned her thoughts, visibility plummeting in the swirling mist, every twist demanding razor-sharp focus amid the high risks of low-level ops, including thermal updrafts that could flip an aircraft if mishandled. Tension built as a sharp jolt rocked the plane, a minor hit from stray ground fire, grazing the fuselage, sparking a warning light on the panel. Near collapse, Emily's hands flew to the diagnostics in-flight systems. Check a critical skill, where pilots assess damage midair using onboard tools like fault isolation protocols to pinpoint issues, much like NASA's self-repairing flight control experiments that enable quick fixes without landing. She isolated the glitch, a compromised hydraulic line, and improvised a bypass rerouting fluid with manual overrides, her training kicking in to stabilize the craft. Sweat stung her eyes, breath ragged, the physical strain exploding her inner wound. A vivid flashback to her father's death, the accident report's cold words, structural failure at low altitude, haunting her like a ghost. In that moment, grief surged, tears blurring her vision, as she relived the loss, the eagle tattoo burning against her skin, as if urging her to endure, paralleling WWII pilots who evaded capture through sheer will, dodging enemy pursuits in fog-shrouded valleys. The pain threatened to overwhelm, but she pushed through the diagnostics, beeping success as stability returned. Yet amid the chaos, a chilling anomaly flickered her comms, glitching with unnatural interference. Hints of cyber jamming where signals were spoofed or blocked, disrupting navigation as in modern aviation warfare threats. It wasn't enemy tech alone. The pattern suggested internal sabotage, diverting her suspicions from external foes to a betrayal within her own ranks. The deadly cave's maw yawned below a narrow valley, etched with peril, as Emily descended into the heart of the storm. Suddenly, chaos erupted. Enemy forces ambushed Captain Hale's rescue team on the ground, gunfire, crackling like thunder, insurgent positions emerging from concealed ridges to encircle the survivors. Ambush, multiple hostiles closing in. Hale's voice barked over the radio, laced with desperation. Emily's aircraft shuddered from nearby blasts, her sensors lighting up with threats, ground troops converging their movements, too precise, as if guided by insider knowledge. Then the shock twist hit like a betrayal's blade. Her comms intercepted a fragmented transmission, revealing Major Thompson's voice leaking coordinates. "She's at Echo 4. Take her down." Jealousy-fueled bias had twisted him. Scorned by her rise, he had diverted suspicion from external enemies to this internal sabotage, endangering lives in a fit of ego. Outrage surged through Emily, a fiery loop igniting her core. This wasn't just war, it was treachery from within, touching the heart with the pain of fractured trust, echoing historical military scandals, where personal grudges led to catastrophic failures. Life hung in the balance as enemy helicopters swarmed their rotors, thumping like doom's drumbeat. Emily's plane took a grazing hit, alarms blaring, but fortitude took hold. Drawing on cyber aviation training, she activated electronic countermeasures, a realm of modern warfare where pilots hack and disrupt foe systems. With deft inputs, she initiated a jamming protocol, flooding enemy frequencies with noise to scramble their communications, much like electronic warfare tactics that overwhelm radars and GPS, with high-power signals creating confusion and denying coordination. This involves spoofing, generating false signals to deceive enemy trackers, mimicking ghost aircraft, or altering positions, a technique vital in aviation cyber threats, where jamming disrupts navigation and weapon guidance. Her systems hacked into their network, exploiting vulnerabilities in UAV controls similar to DOS attacks that overload enemy drones, causing them to falter midair. The effort pushed her to limits. A violent evasion maneuver tore her flight suit, revealing the eagle tattoo, a resurrection symbol. Its wings spread as if awakening, reminding her of her father's unyielding spirit amid WWII perils. Outrage at Thompson's betrayal fueled her precision, the loop cycling to satisfying victory as enemy choppers veered erratically, their jammed signals sowing chaos. One spiraled down in confusion, crashing harmlessly. Systems disrupted, ground teams clear. She radioed Hale, her voice calm under pressure, channeling heroes like Tammie Shults, who landed a crippled Southwest flight in 2018 after engine failure, saving 148 lives through unflinching composure amid crisis. Hale's team neutralized the ambush, extracting the survivors, including engineer Ross, her father's old friend. As they loaded into evac, Ross's weak voice crackled through. "Emily, your dad would be proud. He saved me once. Now you've returned the favor." The thankful dialogue touched her heart, tears mingling with sweat. A profound payoff lives preserved through her fortitude, the betrayal's sting yielding to triumph's sweet embrace. In the aftermath of the ambush's chaos, as the dust settled in the valley, Emily circled once more her aircraft, a vigilant guardian, until Hale's team confirmed extraction. "Eagle Eye, you saved us all." Hale radioed, his voice thick with gratitude, the SEAL's thanks a chorus of respect that washed over her like a balm. On the ground, the survivors, battered but alive, were loaded into evac choppers, their faces etched with relief. Engineer Ross, clutching a bandage, locked eyes with her through the canopy feed. "Emily, that was you up there." His words cracked with emotion, revealing a historical twist that pierced her soul. "Your father saved me in '44 Operation Halyard, pulling me from behind lines in Yugoslavia. I owed him my life. Now you've paid it forward." The secret transmitted a profound legacy, her father's Korwirtunu heroism, alive in this moment, echoing commendations like the Legion of Merit awarded to pioneering female aviators who broke barriers post-integration. Tears welled in Emily's eyes, the humanism of forgiveness seething within Thompson's betrayal. Stung but saving lives transcended grudge, a reflective positive that mended fractured bonds. Back at base, the debrief unfolded like a dawn after storm. Colonel's commendation came swift. "Lieutenant Carter, your cyber disruption and evasion turned the tide." Medal of commendation pending. Recognition rippled through the ranks, male colleagues' skepticism yielding to nods of awe, much like the Navy's achievement medals bestowed on women pilots for valor in missions once deemed impossible. Emily stood tall, her torn suit revealing the eagle tattoo, a symbol of resurrection now shared in whispers, inspiring younger officers. The promotion loomed, assignment to frontline command, a step toward shattering glass ceilings, reflective emotions swelling with pride and humility. Ross's family sent letters of thanks, their words touching her heart. "You've given us back our hero, just as your father did for ours." This payoff, sweet and profound, affirmed her journey bias, overcome legacy honored. But the return journey still challenges. With the survivors secure and the ambush shattered, Emily banked her aircraft toward home, the valley's shadows receding like a fading nightmare. But the return journey was no victory lap. Fuel gauges flickered red, the tank nursing mere fumes after the ordeal's demands. As Naval Air Station Evergreen's coordinates locked in, a new surprise pierced the calm. An enemy drone swarm materialized on her radar, their sleek forms slicing the sky, launched in retaliation, and guided by lingering cyber echoes from the betrayal. These modern threats surprised remnants of electronic warfare, homed in with relentless precision, their missiles primed for lock-on. Emily's pulse spiked, the low fuel warning beeping like a dire heartbeat, but she dove into evasive action, channeling skills that turned peril into poetry. Supplementing her nap of the Earth flight, she executed SAM avoidance turns, high G maneuvers, where the plane spirals tightly to break missile locks, pulling forces that tested body and machine, much like Vietnam-era pilots dodging surface-to-air missiles, with split S-turns inverting and pulling down to confuse radar guidance. Education in these tactics emphasized energy management, bleeding speed in climbs, then accelerating in dives to outmaneuver pursuers, a blend of physics and instinct that saved countless lives in conflicts where drones and SAMs evolved into cyber-linked hunters. Sweat plastered her flight suit, the eagle tattoo a burning emblem beneath, as she weaved through cloud banks, deploying chaff bursts, metallic strips that jam radar echoes, creating false targets. The drones veered, one clipping a ridge in confusion, but the chase pressed on her, fuel dipping critically, each evasion a desperate gamble. Amid the adrenaline, a deeper challenge loomed, the betrayal's shadow. Radio chatter from base crackled with urgency. Thompson's under investigation. Leaks confirmed. The news hit like a gut punch. His jealousy-born sabotage had nearly cost everything. Inner turmoil raged outrage at his bias-fueled act, clashed with humanism's call to forgive, touching compassion for a man broken by the same prejudices that had haunted her. Flashbacks to her mother's lessons surfaced. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the wing that lifts you higher. In this humanism, Emily found grace seeding understanding amid pain, a reflective positive that mended her spirit even as the drones closed in. She evaded the last pursuer with a final bone-jarring turn, the base lights glinting on the horizon. But resurrection awaited. As Emily's aircraft touched down at Naval Air Station, Evergreen engines whining to a halt amid emergency crews, the final twist unraveled like a storm's climax. Thompson's betrayal was exposed in the debrief intercepted logs, revealing his leaked coordinates driven by jealousy over her rise, a bias that mirrored the prejudices WASP women faced in WWII, where male pilots lobbied against their militarization, fearing competition, despite the women's vital ferry missions that freed men for combat. The base erupted in shock investigation swift, but Emily stepped forward with quiet grace. "I forgive you, Major. Bias blinds us all. Let's change that." Her words sparked an internal victory, prompting a system overhaul, mandatory bias training, and equitable assignments echoing the WASP's 1977 retroactive militarization after decades of denial, where women like Elaine Harmon fought for recognition, their emotional resilience turning disbandment's pain into legacy. This humanism exploded not in vengeance but compassion, healing divides as Thompson nodded, broken but redeemed. Resurrection bloomed in applause that thundered through the hangar personnel, rising in ovation male colleagues who once doubted now, saluting her valor, a profound shift, like the WASP's gold medal in 2010, honoring overlooked heroism. Emily stood humbled, the eagle tattoo visible through her torn suit symbolizing rebirth. Her mother rushed in embrace fierce. "You flew his wings, my girl proud, doesn't begin to cover it." Reflective dialogue flowed. "Mom Ross told me about Dad saving him in Halyard. It's like he's here guiding us." Tears mingled in a spiritual family reunion, the humanism of legacy mending grief touching hearts with the depth of WASP stories, women like Dorothy Britt, who trained undeterred by age or bias, flying millions of miles only to face disbandment, yet their spirit endured, inspiring equity. In this explosion of unity, Emily rose anew, bias's crumbling resilience triumphant. In the quiet aftermath as accolades faded and the base returned to routine, Emily carried the elixir, a profound message. Heroes fly high thanks to inner eagle wings overcoming gender and background biases. This truth forged in her journey resonated through her actions. Spotting a young female ensign, wide-eyed with admiration, Emily shared the story of her tattoo, passing on its symbol with a quiet ritual. "Wear it as armor," she said, inking a similar eagle on the woman's shoulder. "Each of us has silent strength." The gesture rippled outward, inspiring a new generation, much like modern cyber equality initiatives in the Navy, where women lead in electronic warfare roles, breaking barriers through resilience and fairness. Her tale became a beacon transmitting the humanism of forgiveness and unity, a grand legacy for society. As a scriptwriting expert, I convey this valuable message to the community. In modern society, resilience and fairness are not just battlefield victories, but daily bias changes. Embrace your inner wings to soar, and please share your story to inspire others. If it touches you, like, share, comment your overcoming experiences, and subscribe to explore more silent heroes.